And this does require listening, so please pay attention. So we kind of have to use logic for this problem. So they're going to give us that A is equal to C, and AR is equal to CR, and DR is equal to BR. So that means this line segment, AR, is equal to this line segment, CR. And then this one right here is equal to this one right there. That's what that says. We have to show that if I added AR and DR, it would be the same thing as adding CR and BR. Okay? So they're going to start, AR is equal to what did they tell us? CR, so that's our first blank, because they gave us that. And they also gave us that DR is equal to BR. Okay, so if I were to assign AR and CR numbers, I think that's the easiest way to visualize. If I say that AR equals 1, we also know that CR equals what? 1. If I told you that DR equals 2 and BR equals what? 2. Okay? So, in other words, if I took, we have to prove that AR plus DR is equal to CR plus BR. And then they kind of rewrote what we know. Okay, so if I were to add AR and DR together, I would have 1 plus 2, right? And if I were to add CR and BR together, I would have 1 plus 2. Now, I could also say that since AR and CR are the same thing, so let's just start there. So this is the property of addition, because I added them together, correct? Of equality, so what you do to one side, you have to do the other side. That's what equality means. So taking AR, since it's the exact same thing as CR, I can interchange them and it won't matter, right? Same thing if I interchange them, they won't matter, right? So I can add them two together by substitution because they equal the exact same thing. This is probably the most challenging example. I think the next two examples will make a little more sense. Questions on this so far? So this was kind of logic. So, well, if these are the same, then that means if I add this one and this one, it's going to be the same thing as adding this one and this one, and adding this one and this one. Substitution is the final answer. Substitution. Okay, go to the next page. Like I said, these ones will make a little more sense. Okay, so they're going to give us that the measure of angle y equals the measure of angle z. And then if you look at the picture, they also tell us that the measure of angle y is that, and the measure of angle z is this. Okay, so that's our given. So they rewrote that in this column right here. So this is our given. We were told that. Okay, and instead, I wanted to rewrite it, instead of saying the measure of angle y is equal to the measure of angle z, let's replace what is the measure of angle y? 2x minus 90, yep. And that equals the measure of angle z, which is x plus 10. Okay, I ran out of room. So that is by substitution. I'm just going to put substitution that I can rewrite that next line. Now, if we wanted to solve, because we have to prove that x equals 100, if I wanted to solve this equation, how would I get my x's to the same side? Aiden? I subtract x and subtract x. Okay, if I subtract x, I would get what?
X minus.
x minus 90 equals 10. Is that what they have on the next line? Okay, so the operation was subtraction. And since it's what I did to one side, I had to do the other side. It'd be subtraction of equality. It's actually called the property, but to shorten it up, we'll just write that. Subtraction of equality, which you do one side, you do the other, because we subtracted. Now, if I wanted to solve for x, what would I do to solve for x? Now, I'd add 90 to both sides. Add 90 to both sides. So then x equals 100. Okay? So then this time, I'm not going to use the subtraction property. I'm going to use the addition of equality. So did we prove that x equals 100? Yes. Question. So we already know how to do this side. This side is just telling us why we can do that. So that's basically what proofs are. Is putting into words what you do algebraically. Okay? The next two, which were your bell work, so hopefully we got at least maybe started. It's giving us that the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2, and 1 and 2 are supplementary. We have to prove that 1 and 2 are right angles. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals what? How'd you get 180? Well, yes, but what in the given told us that they are 180? They are supplementary, therefore we do know that if we add them together, we will get 180. Okay, since they are supplementary angles, so since the measure of angle 1, let's start here. The measure of angle 1, let's say it equals x. So then what does the measure of angle 2 equal? X, because the measure of angle 1 is the same as the measure of angle 2, right? So if one's x, the other one has to be x as well. So then, since the measure of angle 1 is the exact same thing as the measure of angle 2, this is saying that x plus x is the same thing as x and x, right? So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 1 equals 180 by substitution, because we substituted measure of angle 1 and 2. Now to solve, if I were to solve x plus x equals 180, I would have 2x equals 180. So how do you solve for x? Divide by 2, divide by 2, so x equals, what does x equal? 90. Therefore, the measure of angle 1 is 90. So since measure 1 and 2 are equal, then measure 2 is also 90. Therefore, 1 and 2 are right angles. Question. Oh no, kind of makes sense, right? Okay, one more. This time, they tell us that EG equals 3x minus 1, ED equals 2x plus 4, and EG equals EB. We have to prove that x equals 5. So these are the statements that we are given. Now, instead of EG equals ED, what is the measure of angle EG?
3x.
So let's write 3x minus 1 is equal to, what's the measure of ED?
2x plus 4.
And what did we do to get there? We used what? Substitution. Now, if I wanted to get my x's to the same side, what would I do?
Okay, so you want to do plus 2x. No, minus 2.
Minus 2x minus 2x. So that is subtraction of equality. And that gives me x minus 1 is equal to 4, which is what they have on that line. Then how would I get x by itself? Add 1. So x equals
Negative 4. No, 3.
4 plus 1,
Oh, sorry, I can't
That's okay.
see this code.
5. So we use the addition property of equality to solve for x. Question? So again, I know you guys know how to do the algebra side to this, but now this side is telling you words what you did to solve. Okay? Question? Okay. You're actually going to work on your homework